With WrestleMania only a week away, it's time for reflection before the big event. What brings us to WrestleMania? For some, it's to see the culmination of storylines come to a close. Others look to see their favorite wrestler achieve greatness on the grandest stage of them all. But what draws most people to the show of shows is what closes the grand spectacle. The main event. A bad main event can sour the pay-per-view viewing experience. But if the cards are right, you'll look back and say, yes, this deserved to be the main event of WrestleMania. Greetings, everyone. I'm the voice of reason, the host of the Raw podcast for the Haymakers. Joining me, as always, is James the Squirrel Theorist.
Hello, I'm here.
And finally joining us, Punk Gamer.
I hate moving.
And we're here to talk...
shut up, I'm moving tomorrow.
Well, good for you. You want a cookie?
Yes, I'd love a cookie. Thank you for offering.
No cookie for you.
Oh.
And we're here to talk about the best WrestleMania main events. I mean, yes, we get to talk about something good for once.
Oh
we
my
won't be
God,
talking
that's
about
a breath of
Roman
relief.
Reigns.
No.
Oh, well,
We totally won't be talking about Roman Reigns. Not at all. He won't appear on any of our choices.
well, actually, one will, but we'll get to that eventually. So, but yeah, the Raw.
That doesn't count, and that is a bad main event, and you... I have very much gripes about that choice. But it wasn't my choice.
But anyway, we got 6 events to go through. So let's kick things off with James.
My choice. So, when I was picking these, I had picked my first one. It was a no-brainer for me. And then I was told, pick a second one. And I was like, and I went through all the ones that weren't picked, and I went, well, there wasn't many left. And then I remembered something. And this fundamentally upset me that these two, my two co-hosts here, didn't pick this before I did. This was the last one picked, and it's a shame for it. I picked WrestleMania 12's 60-minute Iron Man match with Shawn Michaels and Bret the Hitman Hart. How it didn't get picked before then, I will never know.
I have my reasons.
But
I got my reasons too, just because it seemed like a cop-out.
Oh yes, it's a cop-out, but it's one of the best cop-outs in the world. This match went on for, as the name suggests, 60 minutes. Go figure. But here's some interesting facts about it. Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart basically... Shawn Michaels, I believe, did the first half, like the first 20 or so minutes. Bret did the second 20 or so minutes. It's more likely 25, 26, 27. That's how much they split it up. The last 5 minutes was done by Shawn Michaels and only Shawn Michaels because he was booked to win. If you go back and watch that match, it is pretty much the start of this is where old 80s wrestling ends, and what we somewhat it is the precursor to the Attitude Era, where all the old faces are going away and all the new faces start to come into light and start to main event. The reason this match is, in my opinion, the reason Shawn Michaels got the moniker Mr. WrestleMania, because he constantly puts on good matches, even when he's not really needed in a match. The thing that upsets me the most is this isn't even his best match, and his best matches are usually not main event. Like, I'm going off memory here because I haven't had the time to rewatch WrestleMania 12 because I'm moving, like I said. Mm-hmm. Yes, the two of them, and everyone in the wrestling community can agree to this, are probably the two best technical wrestlers in wrestling. Mm-hmm. Period. It's like when you think sound technical wrestlers who, if they're given a good partner, are going to put on a 5-star match.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you think, okay, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Chris Benoit, you just run off a list of great technical wrestlers. Those two are usually at the top, and if you give them an hour, it is so good. And it not only that, we had two of the best commentators in the world calling it. As JR said himself, the boyhood dream come true. It is like it has some of the most memorable moments. They're played throughout WrestleMania histories. Whenever they do a WrestleMania package, Bret Hart coming down from the top of the arena on the wire, him holding the belt.
That was Shawn Michaels.
That's what I just said.
They said Bret Hart.
Oh, well, whatever.
And it wasn't JR that said the boyhood dream came true. That was actually Vince McMahon.
Oh yeah, it was.
What a maneuver!
Quiet you. I'm tired and I'm partway through moving.
That's right. Yeah.
And I just spent $300 on a desk.
Yeah, but to go on up your point, James. Yeah. When you think in terms of like who could put on a good match at WrestleMania, you look to these two: Bret Hart or Shawn Michaels. Just going off the top of my head, is Bret's fight against Yokozuna at 10, not 9, not counting that match, or Michael's bout against Razor Ramon at 10. Actually, both those were at 10. Put on
Michaels versus Kurt Angle.
Yep.
So good.
Another good one. Also, Cena versus Michaels at 23.
Yes, there is a long. You could probably make a top 10 list, plug, of Shawn Michaels' great WrestleMania matches.
You could honestly do that just because Shawn Michaels. Honestly, it could be at any pay-per-view. Hell, it could be on Raw. Put Shawn Michaels, if you like, during that time through his when he came back, his second run, put him in the ring. He could give you a 5-star match.
His match with Triple H, after being pretty much out of ring shape, he instantly went, "Oh, I can still do this. Yeah, sure, why not? I have massive ring rust, and I'm probably shouldn't be this good, but no, I'm perfectly fine. I can still do everything." And then you have you be a Hulk Hogan, and you get what was it? What was the term again? Octopus in a washing machine?
Oh yeah,
something like that.
Oh yeah, it's like watching an octopus in a tumbling over in a washing machine. What was it, SummerSlam 04 or 05?
That was 05, yeah.
That was 05.
Rule 1: do not piss Shawn off. He will not be kind in the ring to you.
That was hilarious, though, the way he oversold Hogan.
Yes.
Anyway, we're getting a little off topic.
Yeah, we are.
Yes, but it's okay to get off topic near the end.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so the Iron Man match was definitely deserving, especially since 12 was needed the big Mania main event after the travesty that was Celebamania the previous year.
Oh. Yeah. I am lucky enough to say I did not watch wrestling this early on live. I have either watched it since I got into wrestling or later, and I luckily enough watched that. I watched partway through 11, and I went, I'm not bothering because it was so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of bad things, do we want to do that plug now or later?
Well,
I say we.
Oh well, I'd suggest. I just realized I have the wrong mic on. Whatever. But we'll continue. But anyway, yes, we should point out that the SmackDown guys are actually going to be doing the top 10 worst main events, which I recommend you all check out if it hasn't come out before this video. But anyway, okay. Anyway, moving on. Before I go to my pick, let's jump back to WrestleMania 18 or X8, whichever one you want to call it. Now, what was the main event of WrestleMania X8?
If I remember correctly, it was Hulk Hogan versus The Rock.
Wrong.
Wrong.
The main
I'm
event.
being sarcastic.
I know.
That main event sucked.
Yes, the main event of WrestleMania X8 was Triple H versus Chris Jericho for the undisputed title. One of the main reasons it sucked is because of a match that went on 3 matches prior: Hogan versus Rock, Icon versus Icon. The match was so good that it took away from the main event, and all the audience was pretty much exhausted after that. Thankfully, 10 years later, they learned their lesson. With WrestleMania 28, once in a lifetime, technically twice in a lifetime, The Rock versus John Cena. Now, I went back and watched this. This was actually the second WrestleMania Mania actually it did end up seeing. The first one was 26. And going back, I forgot, like, it's almost like going back into a time capsule of what wrestling was back in the end of the PG era and seeing what it is now into the, I guess, new era, as it's called, like, or more the athletic era, as I prefer to call it. And you see, like, the scope of what made WrestleMania, the hype that was built into this. So you had basically The Rock and Cena, two of the biggest stars of their respective wrestling eras. John Cena, the Ruthless Aggression, and the PG era against The Rock, the main guy one of the main guys of the Attitude Era. And both of them are so much similar in terms of wrestling style. Occasionally going to the top rope. Very heavy on grappling. It actually kind of reminds me a lot of Hogan versus Warrior at WrestleMania 6. Two like equally matched wrestlers going at it. And I was just watching the match, and when was the last time you saw John Cena do a bear hug? I'm just asking. Well,
honestly,
John,
I don't remember.
Never.
Yeah.
He doesn't do bear hugs very often, and there's a reason, because it looks shit.
Exactly.
The only people who are allowed to do bear hugs are people who look like The Big Show or Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? We're talking about Rock Cena from 28, and I'm sitting here in my WrestleMania 29 T-shirt. I'm not even kidding.
Oh.
I had to sit through
drinking
that shit main event.
Oh, I get to talk about something later. I won't talk about what I'm drinking out of at the moment.
But yeah, to your point, boys, like just heading into that match, I remember all of the hype because coming out of WrestleMania 27, you know, they had this match set 1 year in advance, where it's like the night after WrestleMania 27, The Rock and Cena set in stone that the following year that they're going to face off. And the crowd absolutely ate it up. And it was hyped beyond belief. You saw fans of WWE that had not been watching in years because they hated John Cena come back to cheer on The Rock. Because that was his first, well, technically his first match back in the ring with Survivor Series the previous year. But that match was so high profile, everybody was talking about it.
Yeah, and when you go back and watch the match, you can see like both of these men are pretty much equal. I know John Cena got a lot better post WrestleMania 30 and going into 31. But you see like these very like high profile guys go at it, and keep in mind 28 for the most part was bad up until the Hell in a Cell match, which by the way is actually one of my favorite matches of all time. Triple H
and should have and that should have ended the show, to be honest, in my opinion.
Well, I would make a case for either that going to mid card or whatever call it, the Cena Rock match going mid card or vice versa. But the big thing is that the main draw kept the fans in the seats. They kept the hype going, and because of what happened at that match with Cena, with The Rock going over Cena, sending the fans home happy. It was one spectacle that we were glad to see happen.
And even though CM Punk, Jericho went on was the prior match for the title. We were, and as much as that was, again, great event. The main draw brought everything together, and that's why I think this WrestleMania 28 will go down in history as one of the best main events. It was put at the right place, the right time. WrestleMania 28 will go down in history as having one of the best main events ever. All right, Punk, you're up.
All right. So, going back to what James was talking about earlier in this video, we were talking about Shawn Michaels being Mr. WrestleMania. And how appropriate we go from the boyhood dream to when Shawn's career came to an end. We're talking about Undertaker, Shawn Michaels 2. The follow-up to one of the greatest wrestling matches of all time, in front of one of the, honestly, let's be real, that crowd was kind of dead for most of the show.
Oh, shut up. I was part of that crowd.
That crowd was dead for a lot of the show.
James,
you were live you were live in the crowd. You got to admit, come on.
My section of the crowd was loud because it was full of Australians. They literally put basically how seating for WrestleMania works is they have the ringside seats, and that's just a mishmash of people. But then the higher up crowds are sections of people. So like they had a bunch of Australians all together, and we were raucous as hell. We were very loud. At one point, they had a camera behind us and I think they were using us for mic, just because we sounded loud.
Okay, so yes, Shawn Michaels Undertaker 2. Honestly, I like this match, not as much as I like the first one. The first one, oh my god, that should have been the main event of 25.
Actually, I think what was it when that match finally ended? Triple H went to radio and was like, "We are so fucking screwed."
Honestly, I could bet that's how the both of them were feeling after that. But just heading into that match, the sheer amount of hype, just the fact that we're getting a Shawn Michaels Undertaker 2 after the gem of a match they put on the previous year, the hype was set in stone. You know, Shawn Michaels doing whatever it took to get a second shot at The Undertaker. And what it really took for him to, finally crack The Undertaker to getting him into the match was the fact that he cost him the world title at Elimination Chamber after Taker got burned on the entrance ramp.
Oops.
Yeah, oops, pyrotechnics guy. He got fired the next night. But yes, heading into that match and the fact that
he was that night.
And so Taker accepted the match only if Shawn put his career on the line. And it's like I was really torn in this match. I really wanted Shawn to win, but because I wanted him to stick around, but at the same time I wanted the streak to continue. So it was a very, you were very torn in the match. You didn't really know who to root for. So in the end, these two put on one hell of a match. And who could forget? Okay, who could honestly forget that tombstone on the outside? Anyone remember that?
I was there, yes.
It's been a while, but I vaguely remember it, yeah.
There was a tombstone piledriver spot on the outside, and it looked like Taker like slammed Shawn Michaels as hard as he could on the back of his head on the outside of the ring with a tombstone pile driver. And I'm like, okay, he could have pretty much killed him if he wanted to. And then took him back into the ring. Shawn with one final act of act of defiance. Taker tombstones him again. 1, 2, 3, and that's the end of the road for the Heartbreak Kid.
Yeah,
it was a sad match.
Yeah,
So,
but you remember what happened
there's
right before the final tombstone, right? Like
Didn't he tell him to suck it?
Undertaker hesitated, and then Michaels did across the neck and then spat and then either slapped him or spat in his face. I forget which.
I think he slapped him. Yeah,
they slapped him. It was like that was the big sign.
Like that was enough for the Undertaker. It's like, okay, that's it, tombstone.
You guys are forgetting something, and it's something important. Undertaker tried to fly. Unfortunately, he's the person who was supposed to catch him.
That was the previous one. That was at 25.
That was 25.
I swear that wasn't at 25.
No, that was 25. That was Sim Snuka was the camera guy, and he forgot to catch him.
Yeah, if he ran, I remember that was 25. He jumped over the top rope, landed on the camera guy.
Oh, I can also give you a little slice into what happened after the match.
Okay.
Because this is something only people who were there can know about. After that match happened and it was over, I looked around because I wanted to see everyone's reaction because that's the kind of thing I love. And I saw grown men crying. I saw my little brother, who was at the time, he was at the age where he believed it was real, and such completely, and he was crying. There was people all over crying, booing. There was some people who were just they couldn't believe it. They were just mouth open, Undertaker guy style. I also have another thing that I can tell you. The Raw after, I was the second person to buy, out of the first merch table that's out there that's available at the front door. I was the second person to buy an Undertaker shirt, a Shawn Michaels shirt. That night, let's see. That show, even though for you guys watching at home, it may have sounded very quiet, at the actual show, it wasn't. It was loud and raucous. But yeah, let me put it this way. That is probably one of the best matches. If you were there live, that was the match of the night. It had to go on last. There was no other choice. There wasn't another match that could take its place.
Yeah, I couldn't think of anyone. The only exception I could think of is maybe Cena Batista, or again either that Cena Batista or Edge Jericho. But yeah, if you want the retirement match, I think definitely should have went on last, and thankfully it did. Basically,
the way I look at it is, if it's a retirement match, it goes on last.
Well, I know. Actually, I think 2 others were retirement matches, but they were mid card. Was it again Edge? Sorry, not Edge. Ric Flair and Flair and Michaels and Ultimate Warrior and Savage was mid card as well. Although Savage did come back, so go figure.
Yeah, I will give one thing to Shawn. He has actually retired. He hasn't wrestled a proper match ever since then.
Yeah, and I'm glad he stuck to it, even though he probably could go for a third run. He's done, and I'm glad he has.
Hmm.
All right. Anyway, James, you're up next.
Yay! Yay! So, I'm going to preface this. This is the match WWE don't want us talking about. This is, as I put it in the Skype chat, hashtag redacted. Because this match, for me, is my favorite WrestleMania match for multiple reasons. One, it's a technical dream. Two, the ending and what happens afterward is probably the most heartfelt and lovely thing ever. The match I am talking about is WrestleMania 20's HBK versus Triple H versus Chris Benoit. You now know why it is redacted. You now know why they don't want us talking about this. So this match is beautiful. It's lovely. It's a combination of Triple H's brawling style and Shawn Michaels showmanship, and all three of their technical skills, the best of which Chris Benoit. This match didn't need a long time. This match didn't need much time at all. I'm actually going to go check how long it went for right now.
I want to say it was. I want to say it was like close to like 22 minutes.
It went on for, just loading the page up now. It only went on for 24 minutes, almost 25 minutes. And considering some of the other matches that went on the other match that went on that night, Eddie Guerrero versus Kurt Angle, another great match went on for 21 minutes. It was kind of short for a triple threat match, especially a end of pay-per-view match. So this match is probably my favorite match for favorite WrestleMania match. I will preface that because my favorite match doesn't involve WrestleMania at all. So this match, like I said, Shawn Michaels is one of the greatest showmen in the world. Him and Triple H were in a massive feud at the time, and you really could have taken Chris Benoit out of this, and it still made sense from a story position, from like an overall story position. But he was in here because he fought his way into it. Triple H, this is just before. Actually, no, this is like just at the start and the height of Evolution, right before Triple H gets the title and holds it for a long time until next year's WrestleMania. Well,
actually, technically, this was right after that, because that was it 2000. He held it for. Well, let's see, because I remember 2000. He got it back from Michaels in. At the at Armageddon in 2002. He held it until SummerSlam in 2003. Not Unforgiven 2003. And then he again, and then he dropped it again at WrestleMania. So yeah, I think this was like his second very long run with the title.
Yeah, this is basically midway. This is at the height of Evolution, basically. So Triple H is the dominant heel at this point. He is the biggest heel in the company. We can all agree on that.
More ways than one, yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Shawn Michaels is Shawn Michaels. You give him good partners, he's going to give you the best match ever. Chris Benoit is probably the hardest working wrestler. At that time, he was the hardest working wrestler in the company. There was very few who had his his style. Well, and the three of them put on probably one of the best WrestleMania matches in history.
Yeah, it was so good that they repeated it.
I loved it. It was.
Yeah, I was saying it was so good they repeated it 10 years later.
Mm-hmm. So basically, this match goes on for a while, and eventually, and this is something that doesn't usually happen. We don't usually get the final match being a triple threat match, let alone. And here's the kicker: it was won by a submission, which is the first time that had happened. There hadn't been a WrestleMania main event win via submission ever. So that was given to Chris Benoit. He was given the title, and then you have the most heartwarming and lovely thing in wrestling. And I had just come back into wrestling at this time. In fact, here's a little tip into when I came back into wrestling. My first match back from wrestling was The Rock's dog shit match.
The dog poop. The dog
yes.
poop. The dog poop.
My first scene was Mick Foley shoveling dog poo onto a tray. And you wonder why I still like wrestling. So basically what happens is earlier in the night, Eddie Guerrero defended his title in probably the greatest match that wasn't a main event. I'd be talking about that match if it went on last, either way, because they were both great matches. Then Chris Benoit, his best friend, wins the match. They're both world champions. And Eddie Guerrero comes out there and hugs one of his best friends. And they're both hugging each other, confetti's falling, and at the time, those two were the biggest baby faces in the company. At that point, those two were the main focus. At that one point, the sad thing is, in 3 years, both of them would be dead.
Yeah, it's kind of...
Unfortunately for Chris Benoit, he died in a way that tarnishes his entire career, makes it nigh impossible for him. He will never be in the Hall of Fame because of what he did, even though he, in my opinion, is one of the best technical wrestlers of all time. And I would love to see him in the Hall of Fame, but it will never happen. There is no way you can put him in the Hall of Fame, which saddens me on a I like wrestling point, but I completely understand and agree that he shouldn't be in it because of what he did. If it was solely just upon his skills and what he did, no question. But we have to take into account for outside stuff, which, yeah.
Right.
And Eddie Guerrero got into the Hall of Fame because he's...
Eddie freaking Guerrero.
Eddie Guerrero. You love Eddie Guerrero. I have seen unfortunately, I was unable to see an Eddie Guerrero match live, which saddens me because Eddie fucking Guerrero. Mm. And I just want to bring up one thing. Speaking of Eddie, we could have had Kurt Angle versus Eddie Guerrero at WrestleMania 22. Instead, we got Shawn Michaels versus Kurt Angle, so I'm not complaining, but I would have loved that match, and that could have stolen the show.
Well, I think we actually it was Kurt Angle versus Randy Orton versus Rey Mysterio was 22. The previous year, we had Eddie...
Oh, no, wait, it was 21 that I was thinking.
No, you're thinking of 22, because 21, Eddie had the match against Rey Mysterio to open up the show.
Mm. And then he passed away, and originally, basically at the start of, I believe, the year, they went, hey, we're going to have Eddie Guerrero versus Shawn Michaels. That's what it was. It was Eddie versus Shawn, not Eddie versus Kurt. And everyone agreed, yeah, those two can put on probably the best match of the night and are probably going to steal the show. And then Eddie passed away due to I believe, heart complications.
It was heart failure.
Yes. Anyway, let's move on to something more happy. One of you start talking before I bring back the mood down again.
Okay, well, I'm probably going to bring the mood down anyway. So, there's always the risk of a main event flopping and going into this one Mania, which everyone could agree, like, this could turn out to be one of the worst WrestleManias of all time. And of course I'm talking about WrestleMania 31. Because the main event of that match of the card was Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns for the WWE title. Now,
this was not a good main event.
Now I will defend this because looking at this card, like the reason I put it as one of the best main events is because the expectations were very low for this. The build was absolutely terrible. Roman Reigns was booked to be basically how he is now as the next John Cena. Beating his match against Daniel Bryan at Fastlane, again, great, which I'll admit was a great match, but the result was not what we wanted. When Daniel Bryan announced at the beginning of January that he's going to be back in the Royal Rumble, oh great, Daniel Bryan can get a shot again at the main event against Brock Lesnar. Well, that would be great. David versus Goliath match, eliminated by Bray Wyatt, and then right after that was Goldust with Shattered Dreams. And of course at 17, like the second Roman Reigns came out, everyone booed. We were worried that Roman Reigns was going to beat Brock Lesnar. However, I will defend this main event because of three things. One, the match was very physical. Right out of the bat, German suplex. German suplex, vertical suplex. I think I saw a cravat suplex in there. It was basically the birth of Suplex City. That's been a moniker of Brock Lesnar and WWE ever since WrestleMania 31. So there's that. The other is what happened at the end. Something that no one ever thought would happen. WrestleMania made history. For the first time ever, someone cashed in the main event of WrestleMania, and that was Seth Rollins, the Architect. Everyone in the...
Not only was it the first time someone had cashed in at WrestleMania, period, or at the main event of WrestleMania, period, it was also the first time someone had cashed in during the middle of a match.
Yes. Everyone was absolutely shocked that this was actually going to happen. So the second Seth Rollins came in, it officially became a triple threat, and we got probably one of the best finishes and probably one of the best calls by Michael Cole by calling this the heist of the century. And I cannot agree more.
Oh yes, I totally agree that it was a great finish. I totally agree. Brock Lesnar put on a decent match. Doesn't mean it was a good main event.
Okay, then let me ask you, what would you have put instead of at the main event? Again, given the entire card,
there was no other good there was no other good match. Most of the goddamn matches on this card weren't
really?
Good.
Because I can think
the one exception I would give, if is the Intercontinental Ladder match, which unfortunately was the thing that kind of pushed Daniel Bryan off the edge of I might be able to keep going for a while to oh god my neck and head, and the Randy Orton Seth Rollins match. Now, if you had have booked Triple H versus Sting in a different way, that could have been the main event.
I would not have put that at main event. There was
no. If you had have done it correctly, Triple H Sting could have been a great main event if it was booked correctly.
No, I still wouldn't have put it at main event because that's not a main event match. That even if you had all those shenanigans with like DX coming out, the NWO hobbling out, I still can't get over the fact that the NWO was
poor Kevin Owens.
Poor Kevin Nash. Poor Kevin.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Actually, I saw that.
Too many Kevins.
When I saw Kevin Nash come out, it just tripped. I was like, oh god, what happened to Kevin Nash? It's like, did he dare a squad again?
Oh god, I just created the world's worst tag team ever. The Kevin connection. Kevin Nash, Kevin Owens, and Kevin Dunn. I know, it's so scary.
Thanks. I didn't feel like sleeping tonight.
But but there's I couldn't think of anything other to go on last other than Brock and Roman, and because of like the big surprise and how brutal it was. By the way, Brock bled hard. That wasn't a blade job. Brock bled hard.
Yeah, that was gotten the hard way because Vince doesn't like bleeding.
But yeah, because of the physicality of the event, the iconic moment where Brock coined Suplex City, and Seth cashing in, making history at 31, propelled that basically made Mania. That big moment with Seth Rollins doing basically what he did with the NXT belt back in 2012, where he was waving around like a punk rocker. I couldn't think of anything other than say that 31 will go down in history as one of the best main events. And James, you can disagree all you want.
It's a good main event, but it isn't as good as everything else we've mentioned. And there are many more that are good that won't be mentioned.
Right, because there's nothing topping the final main event. Punk, take it away.
Oh boy, here we go. All right, so when you look back at most classic WrestleMania matches, you think of one like you said at the beginning of the video, boys. When you go into a WrestleMania match, you need to have a story. You need to have something that sucks you in and enthralls you, that really makes WrestleMania, like as they're calling it this year, the ultimate thrill ride.
Also the ultimate face-punching extravaganza.
Thank you, Daniel Bryan. But that match, this match we're about to talk about, I'm kind of like stumbling over my words. I'm excited about this. We're talking about what could possibly be the coup de grace, the send-off, the goodbye for the Attitude Era. Rock, Austin, the WWF Championship, WrestleMania X7. In front of Austin's hometown, well, his home state of Texas. The Bionic Redneck making his way to the ring, honestly, to a thunderous ovation, heading into a match, a very high-profile match with The Rock. You know, at the time, both of these guys were megastars. Both of these two carried the WWF on their back, heading into, you know, at that time, like heading into the new millennium, into the new year. This was a big match just because, you know, Austin had been gone for a while because he was injured. He came back, won the Royal Rumble, and then The Rock winning the WWF title from Kurt Angle setting up what could possibly be the one match that could blow the roof off of the Houston Astrodome. And up until that point, WrestleMania 17 or X7, whichever you want to call it, had honestly, I still stand by this. This was my favorite WrestleMania out of every single Mania that there's been. Nothing has come close to topping this. But this match had everything you could possibly want. Near falls, blood, violence, a very, really well-crafted story. And J.R. freaking Jim Ross was killer on commentary, as he always is. And then the shock of the night came near the end of the match, being when Vince McMahon made his way out. And for any WWF fan at the time, Austin and McMahon, if they're in the same ring, they're going to beat the living hell out of each other. Or Austin's going to beat the living hell out of McMahon. Not this time. McMahon hands Austin a chair. Austin takes it, and you're thinking he's just going to whack Vince over the head with it. He clobbers the living hell out of The Rock. And I have counted. And I really hope someone's going to correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. To beat The Rock, it took Stone Cold Steve Austin 18 chair shots to take down The Rock. And then the shock, and this was what really said, this was like the end of the Attitude Era. Vince McMahon and a bloodied Stone Cold staring each other face to face, shaking hands in the middle of the ring, and then having a beer.
I think Ross called it best. He shaking hands with the devil himself.
He has sold his soul to Satan himself to win the WWF title. Why, Steve? Why?
I want to bring something up.
Okay.
And this is my hard-held feelings. 15 was better.
No, not even close.
I'm sorry, but 15 was better.
15 was a snooze fest.
It's the exact same match.
I was falling asleep. The only good spot out of that match was when Austin threw him against the sign. Where you got, there was one really funny moment in 17 though. You guys remember it? I'm not sure if you guys remember it, where The Rock was knocked onto the announce table by Austin, and The Rock was trying to get himself back up, and the table collapsed underneath him. You guys remember that?
Vaguely.
We all agree that we all agree 17 was great. I think 15 was better, but that could be my bias talking of the fact that the heel Austin was terrible.
Well, actually,
heel Austin was
and even Austin had doubts that initially, because I think by the way, thank you to What Culture, who was doing their top 10 fascinating facts about WrestleMania. Insert number here. It turns out that that Austin was actually thinking about stunning McMahon right afterwards. When he.
Yes, he was thinking of going, while they were shaking hands, to have McMahon go to walk away, hold his hand, pull him in, and stunner him right there. Yeah, just as I used you, I've won the belt, now fuck you, I've got the belt.
Exactly, that would have been it. But no, they decided to have him hug Vince, wear cowboy hats, and sing Kumbaya.
And I'll give it this.
Although I will give them one thing: they did make a star out of Kurt Angle through some of those segments.
Can we just get a picture right now, really quick, of Kurt Angle wearing the stupid cowboy hat?
Post.
Please, just look at this. He looks like such a dork.
Ladies and gentlemen, your leader of the class of 2017's Hall of Fame.
But anyway, going back to the finish of Austin and Rock 2. I know the reason that they wanted to, Austin wanted to do the finish because he felt like his face character was getting stale, and the big thing was going back to initially a heel persona would have breathed new life into his character. But unfortunately, that didn't really work out because A bunch of people said, like, when Austin was beating up people, we weren't cheering against him, we were cheering along with him.
Yeah, because I think it's just because at that time the WWF audience was just at the point where they were done with like squeaky clean good guy, here's my smiling face, now cheer for me kind of good guy, when they wanted someone who was a badass, because let's
Which is kind of what we're in at the moment. Cough Roman.
Let's be real, because back in the 1990s it was all about trash TV. It was always about being as raunchy as you possibly could be and what you could get away with on television with the TV-14 rating.
WrestleMania, not Wrestling Society X. Cough. I love that show.
Yeah. So it was all about, what can you get away with a TV-14 rating? No one wanted to cheer Rocky Maivia, they wanted to cheer The Rock.
No one wanted to cheer the ringmaster, they wanted Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Exactly, because at that point they finally gave the superstars their chance to write their own characters and kind of let them have their own freedom with, who they were, personified to be. And Austin was, he could do the worst dastardly things in the world. He broke Brian Pillman's leg on live television, and he still got cheered for it.
He beat up Alita, and I think he still got cheered for it. But
Alita took a chair shot to the head, and Austin still got cheered for it.
Austin has stunned every single member of the McMahon family, including Linda McMahon, who is now currently sitting on Donald Trump's
not exactly
team.
She's small business secretary.
She's a secretary still.
Yeah, he stunned the president. He
has stunned the president, the owner of the company. The owner of the company's wife, who is a senator now.
The owner of the company's son. And the owner of the company's daughter. Multiple times.
And the owner of the company's son-in-law.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, Triple H. Well, duh.
Yeah, whatever. Still counts.
It does count, but, Austin was just that badass of a character. And, you have The Rock, who was like, he wasn't squeaky clean either. He was The Rock. He had this X factor.
It's like when you think Attitude Era, you think Shawn Michaels, you think The Rock, Austin,
DX,
Mick Foley, DX, New World Order in WCW, and also at the end, right near the end of the Attitude Era.
Yeah, but, heading into this match, this was really the end of the Attitude Era. Because at that time, the WWF won the war. The Monday Night Wars were over because the WWF bought out WCW.
I wouldn't count it as the end of the Attitude Era, but it is the last WrestleMania of the Attitude Era.
Yeah, but oh my God, now that I'm thinking about this match, it just came to me. It was really freaking funny? The fact that The Rock kind of backed Earl Hebner into the steps, and then Earl Hebner kind of fell over.
Yeah.
It was on complete accident.
I forgot, was it this one, or was that 19 where they traded finishers?
They traded finishers here.
They traded finishers a lot when they were fighting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This was the first time that Austin pulled out the $1 million dream that he hadn't used since he was the ringmaster.
Yeah, you don't see that often nowadays.
You
occasionally
don't.
You see like other people take other people's finishers. Like the last one I saw was when Kevin Owens Stone Cold Stunner Roman Reigns.
I remember Austin grilled him for that on his podcast.
It didn't look too good.
The only other time I thought was when Dolph Ziggler did the Rough Rider to Miz at No Mercy.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, this match, honestly, I believe it really does personify what WrestleMania is all about. It really was one of the best matches. The crowd was into it. The crowd was invested all the way through, bell to bell. And the fact that they made it no disqualification right before the match even started, that's like, ooh, what could possibly happen here? They went into the crowd. There was chairs. There were ring bells. The belt itself. It was just an unbelievable match from start to finish. And the fact that Austin turned heel at all threw everybody for a loop, just because, like, no one saw that coming.
And from that point on, it's like, okay, what happens now?
Exactly, and that's why you had to, and that right there makes you, it made you want to tune into Raw the next night. It's like, what's going to happen the next night on Raw?
Quick note: this match nearly went on for half an hour. It went on for 28 minutes.
I didn't realize it was that long of a match.
It was the longest match by 10 minutes. The only other longer match was Undertaker Triple H, which just preceded this match.
Yeah, actually, I think in just looking at all our matches, I think mine, out of the main event matches that we have,
mine was the longest.
Yours went over an hour, and I think mine was the shortest, with Reigns and Undertaker / also. Oh, by the way, we're also inserting Rollins in this too.
You mean Reigns and Brock Lesnar?
That's what I meant. Sorry. God. Yes, Reigns and Lesnar plus one.
As you can tell, a lot of us are either very tired or we're not really thinking too clearly. We're hyped. It's WrestleMania season, guys. I'm sorry, that was very awkward.
The big question is, well, we'll probably answer this when we get to the WrestleMania prediction podcast. I highly doubt the main event this year is going to be spectacular. I mean,
nope.
I could see it like. I could see it stealing the show. Maybe
if it's Rollins Triple H, maybe.
No. It's the as it's advertised. So at the moment, it is not Roman Reigns. It's Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt. That will be the last
if
match. If
it goes like that, then I say yes. If it's the other match, then hell no.
I really, please don't put
Roman.
I'm pleading.
Reigns is going to end the show.
I pray to God that they actually do not put Roman Reigns Undertaker last.
Or Goldberg Lesnar last.
Oh, God, please, no. Let Goldberg Lesnar, let that be me somewhere a little bit further up the card. I mean, it's our brand, obviously we're the Raw podcast, but,
I have a feeling
it's such a dud of a match.
I have a feeling it's going to go Raw title, Goldberg, Lesnar, main event.
So wait, so you mean Raw title, Taker, Reigns?
Raw title, Taker, Reigns, SmackDown title.
And SmackDown. What? I could see it that way.
I could see it that way. It works because then you can have title match, medium to short match with the Goldberg Lesnar thing, and then end it with that. And since we will most likely not be talking about the SmackDown thing, I'm going to throw in a little thing here. I think I think Bray Wyatt is going to defend his title.
Well, you find out next time. But in the meantime, don't forget to check out the SmackDown's podcast for the worst WrestleMania main events, so you can see them.
I feel so bad for them.
Hey,
I don't.
We suffered through end of the line. So.
Yes. That's true, and we suffered through Fastlane. So.
Wait a minute, you weren't here for that. Wait.
But anyway, don't forget to check out the SmackDown cast, and also don't forget to check out the WrestleMania predictions when they come out. Follow us on Twitter at Henmo24. That's Voice of Reason. At Squirrel's Theory for.
What? Wait. I recently today changed my Twitter handle. It is James Z-E Squirrel. James James ZZE Squirrel
James Z Squirrel and Punk at Punk Gamer with a 3. All right.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. There is one quick thing I need to point out.
Oi.
Don't don't forget to watch this week's episode of the NXT show that me and Nikki V host, where we will be giving you the predictions for NXT TakeOver
Right.
Orlando.
Oh yeah, that's going on.
Yes, that's a thing me and him do because we're sick of watching media or like not so great WWE content when we could be reviewing somewhat good NXT content.
Right. But until then, this is the Voice of Reason.
This is Punk Gamer.
And this is James
Signing out, and we'll see you for the next cast.